Take the string off your finger. Carota's summer sales event is back. It's your last chance to get the all-new LC370 before we raise prices. With over 300 horsepower, active suspension, and class-leading interior space, you suckers can't get enough. Visit your local Carota dealer for a special loan offer through Carota Credit. Hello and welcome back to our loyal viewers and esteemed board of directors to episode 10 of Carota Motors. The year is now 1998 and the world is becoming more and more familiar to the modern day. Or maybe from the perspective of someone who's been around since Carota started making cars in 1946, more and more unrecognizable. If you have a problem with your Carota car, you might discuss it on the internet. Assuming you have a modem, it's not cheap. In video games, Gran Turismo, the first one, is out. So is Ocarina of Time, Pokemon, Half-Life, and StarCraft. That's right, 1998 is a great year for video games. And is now a good time to go off topic about anime? Well, unfortunately, I have word from the top that Fruinia, the country where Carota Motors is hosted, is not analogous to Japan. Well, the good news is, anime is actually very big in Italy, like bigger than the US. So much so, they got many more series released over there, and they got their own completely new theme songs in Italian. Check out Capitan Harlock here. We didn't get that show released in the US for what, another 20, 30 years? Well, that trend of their own Italian theme songs might have died off, but you can watch Initial D this year. Now, what's the state of Carota Motors? We're making money hand over fist, and we have cash to expand, which is good because our cars are in crazy demand. Look at this, 4 months of pre-orders for the Bollo. More than a year waitlist for the Illuzione SUV. Basically, all of our cars have deep waitlists of 4 to 12 months. Now, I know that some of these cars are starting to look old. Look at the Coniglio, which is still kind of looking from the 70s. But I don't really want to fix what ain't broke. I want to spend our money on expanding factories so we can meet demand. We're only going to do 1 or 2 new models this season, and what we're definitely going to do is something to replace the Caesar, our old supercar. Now, what should that be? To find out, we're going to leave it up to you, the board of directors, in the comments. First, a few points on styling for the cars. Games Fun says that I should have more of a consistent design language between all of my cars. And yeah, I should. Although, saying that is sort of like saying I should be good at the game. It's surprisingly hard to make consistent, distinctive features that you can tell right away what brand it is, and also make the car match the era, and have it match across sports cars, economy cars, SUVs. The best I've managed is having a badge on there, really. They all have different headlights and hood lines. Whereas you look at Toyota, nowadays even they have, I don't know if I'm a fan of it, but they have like the same kind of hood peak on the Toyota Sienna as they have on Supra. And you can tell that's Toyota from the shape of it. Well, that's a goal to aspire to, but at this point, unless I'm remaking all of my models at the same time, I think we're kind of stuck where we are. I'll make that a bigger goal for the next campaign, maybe. PC Moreno says that the Bollo, our newest car, already probably needs better taillights. They look outdated. Maybe they do. I'll probably try and get to that on a facelift. The Caprese, too, also could use pop-ups. Or not pop-ups. And get the same makeover to solid headlights as we had on the supercar. And that's another thing I might try to do next time I facelift that car. or if I happen to replace it this episode. And indeed, the wing also in the Caesar is looking better now, even though it's due to replace. Really, I updated it just in time to get rid of it. Now, as for our new model, we've had people asking for a while for a bigger luxury car, basically like an S-Class, a GT. I could make a model that kind of crosses over the line of a GT and a luxury car as a trim for both. We've also seen a few people suggesting V8s, and those might, no promises, but I'll look at it, because having only 6 cylinders is a little hard for like a top-end car. Automation markets, they want that prestige. It comes with more cylinders, and it's easier to make more power that way. Alternatively, we can cram it with tech, and we have a few people also asking for VVT. And lastly, Commissar Roach says it could be time for new Coniglio in time for 2007, which would be about our 60th anniversary. That might even be next episode at the pace we're going, though. I also really appreciate everyone who's having fun watching this, and definitely make sure to turn on your notifications, or I guess just check the channel once in a while, because if I don't upload for months and then start uploading, I definitely get cons from people who say they haven't seen my videos. Well, jumping right in with the fun part, I think we'll try making our new model. I don't know if I have any good name suggestions for it yet, but I'll try and come up with something later. So for our luxury slash GT car, we definitely want something big. In fact, the stat I think we want to optimize for is cabin volume. So there's as much space for the passengers as possible. And out of the 3-meter wheelbase options here, this lower one has a slightly wider track width and about 200 liters more of cabin volume. And also, for whatever reason, the convertible hardtop has more cabin volume than the non-convertible. I can't imagine why that is. That doesn't seem right. I guess the roof is less thick or something. But whatever. And this does very well at a little over 4,000 liters. In fact, it's actually slightly better than the larger SUV. I guess just because it's wider. I looked at it. So there, a very big, wide car. I think I'm going to build a 4-door luxury car first, and then maybe a GT version. With, let's see, if we're replacing the supercar, you're probably not doing steel presses on this factory, so it's got to be aluminum or fiberglass or carbon fiber. I don't want to go for carbon fiber. I think that's too expensive and not quite worth it unless you're a supercar. We've built more stuff out of fiberglass. I have more familiarity, so I'm going with that. We'll be in common with our sports cars. So that feels pretty wrong for a luxury car, but still. Well, aluminum gets more safety. Maybe aluminum. And it can't be unibody. Again, we need steel presses for that. So space frame, so we can make it in a small factory. Actually, what? I need to double check first. We're replacing that supercar. That's not being made in a medium factory, is it? Okay, Caesar is currently being made at Via Castella, which is a small factory. Yeah. And just for reference, yes, the Caesar was a fiberglass space frame car. I see we have semi-space frame unlocked, which is a cool technology. I think it might still require steel presses, though. Light, advanced high-strength steel. Why not? And front longitudinal double wishbones. Multi-link is better, but I don't feel the need to push for it. We'll just keep optimizing our familiarity double wishbone so we can crank up that quality. Ooh, this is an early unlock, the AHS steel. Oddly enough, we get familiarity with light AHS steel, but not with regular AHS steel. That's probably some goofy oversight that's already been corrected in the new game version. I guess the question is, would I rather have the benefits of the light steel or the benefits of like 2 more technical? I may say that the more technical. Now, I'm not absolutely settled on the engine architecture yet. I know it's going to be aluminum silicate heavy block. It's a closed deck, dual overhead cam, 4-valve, same head, just like we've been doing for everything else. But we might not make it a Boxer 6. Could make it a V8, even a V12, just to make this a little more uniquely prestigious. Or otherwise, we'll make this a rather large Boxer 6. 3.7 liters. I might start off with this and see if we're better off with the V8. Forged steel internals. And again, one of the purposes of a top-end car is to cram all the technology into it so we harvest this familiarity for use on our regular cars. I might like to see VVL get into our Bollo engines or just everything. But we need to get that familiarity up so we have enough quality to make it reliable. So the VVL is going to have a very low cam profile to start off, and then just a moderate one, a high cam. We can make a separate tune of this engine for GT car purposes, not turbo for now. I don't know if it's going to make it to our regular cars. We could make this a direct injected engine. Ooh, that is again an early unlock, so not much room for quality there. If we go to +4, that's 77 engineering months. Little familiarity. Whereas our family is at 75 months, so that could be viable. And again, this is just a baseline tune. We may tweak stuff later. But, oh, I can put crazy compression, by the way, on a direct injected engine. A naturally aspirated 3.6 liter engine makes 305 horsepower. Before emissions. I think that should have reasonable qualities for a luxury car. And then, of course, all-wheel drive has been our bread and butter. We have access to on-demand and advanced all-wheel drive types. I might stick with helical for now. I'm not totally sure how much the benefits of the other ones are. And for a luxury car, automatic with limited slip diffs, radial medium tires. This body defaults to 19-inch rims. Wow, that's insane. And I'm making those tires a little chubbier. It should be good for a comfortable ride. Comfort brake pads, sure. Going with the fully clad under tray, we're still suffering from the situation where familiarity does not spread between the under tray types like you'd expect it to. So making a lot of semi-clad cars does not get us part way towards fully clad, low optimized. Just default with luxury interior. Ooh, and sat navs are a big early unlock. I like advanced technology, but I do not like early unlocks. So just a CD player for now. And that lets me get the quality up nice and high, with only 4 seats as desired by the highest luxury markets. I also might spring for active suspension on this. And initial numbers are looking not actually that great on luxury, with a complaint about reliability. We do have a lot of new technology in this. Let me see if I can tune it a little bit, though. at the total lineup for stats, we are apparently better than the competition, like everything, except reliability, even though we're not that bad off. So I'm not sure why we're kind of seeing a poor overall desirability. It's not very affordable. I just kind of expect to see better out of that. I put handmade interior on, that does it right away. Oh, I forgot body quality. That is an important category. Let's get up to our tech pool. Maybe a little more than that, which was just at a whopping plus 10 quality. Oh, instantly we're there. Okay. Probably have to do without the handmade interior, huh? Yeah. Yep, that's it. Just forget one quality category, and it wipes you out. But we got the reliability we're missing, and we got more comfort, prestige. So that seals the deal for a good quality luxury car. Now, a V8 or something else engine would increase our prestige and maybe sportiness, maybe power. I'm not terribly seeing the need for that right now. And I also want to see, what have we got for coupe option? Oh, odd. We literally haven't got one. We only have a two-door sedan, which you'd think would be what they'd want. You'd think this would count as a coupe. But someone did mark this as a coupe, so it's not a coupe for GT purposes. It's basically already good as a GT car, except for the body type penalty. So really what I might be looking at would be maybe just a regular and a convertible. I also could consider going to the other body if there's a coupe available. The one that looked almost identical, but was like slightly narrower track width. And no, it's always the same problem. It's got like friggin' people mover and SUV variants, but no coupe. So, looking at my other body options, we do have this kind of interesting round, monstrously wide, but in my opinion, very ugly body that does have a coupe option. I don't want to go to that quite. Or we can go all the way back to 1998 for the Dodge Challenger thing. Well, that one doesn't even have a sedan option. So yeah, not a lot of good bodies with a coupe and a sedan that are close to being as new of a year model as possible. Which, by the way, this is an Ellisbury thing, the game version we're on. In Alrima, it's become much harder to get 8 years of early unlock on body types. But let's say we have a convertible luxury variant, which is apparently going to need more brake force. Before I go ahead and do visual design, I want to make sure that these choices I've made are sane in terms of engineering time. And looks like overall they are. Actually, driver assists is the single biggest category here. And what had I put in there? I think variable hydraulic power steering, which is something we're going to want to work on. And ESC. Yeah. I might take one quality point down on that. But basically it's worth it. And yeah, we're sticking with active comfort, suspension. And I actually should double check how we're doing emissions-wise. WES 8 is what we're at. But we need to be at WES 9 even for just now on Fruinia. And really, in 2005, we hit WES 11 in Fruinia, which is the highest level. So really, we need to be there. And just hitting 2 clicks on emissions optimization gets our fuel map crushed into Lambda 1.0, and we're there for emissions. This thing doesn't even need premium gas, which I could go to. It gets us, what, a smidge more performance. Not really needed. But I think that the interesting part for this is going to be the visual design. So the first thing I did starting off was try to pick a good paint color. All of the Mercedes and Lexus cars I looked at from this time period had metallic, but more muted, almost pastel kind of colors. And what I wanted was get this kind of version of this orange, but it's a subtle orange. Obviously spent a while looking at headlights. There's a lot more diversity in this time period, and trying to get the softer shapes. I maybe should have gone with modular headlights, but I just spent a while trying to pick headlights that looked good, and half the ones that I liked in terms of the basic design looked pretty bad when I put them on the corners of the car and they got stretched out all deep, which I guess is the benefit of the modular headlights, is they don't do that as much. As you can see, I round out the front, and through the design, it's pretty much going to stay smooth on the front. You look at these references, a lot of them have a grill, like an inset, and I just couldn't get that. So we have instead, I'm trying to think of what it looks like. There are some cars that also have that grill that just follows the smooth curve, but the inset grill kind of creates like a appearance of a bumper, which I didn't get as much. This bumper bar makes up for it a little bit with the inserted blinker. Gotta be the Fab 365 every time. My favorite. I did okay blending that bottom two vents together. They look natural. I've got the roof bars on here because that's just Carota tradition. I did end up eliminating those later. I also sort of think, if you're putting cargo on top and you have a sunroof, you're going to get scratching or cracking that sunroof. Wipers, one of those things that has to be there, but half the challenge to make it not look awkward. Played around with the hood ornament for a bit. I decided it was so smooth and round on the front, it was just a shame to put it up there. It was more modern to just not have a hood ornament. I do think some of the Mercedes still had like the pop-up hood ornament instead of a flat badge at that time, but the modern way is that hood ornaments get eliminated. I do think I did an okay job of recreating the indented rear area with the license plate on the trunk lid. Also pretty happy with the taillights. Just a very simple two-part with some of them being on the trunk lid. And some bumper bars to match the front. I found I had to break them into smaller sections. If they were too big, they got like kind of smile shapes as they stretched around the curvature of the car, which doesn't look good. Spent a while with placeholders here on the badging, because the badging is a big part of the way that the back of the car looks, but I still don't know what to call it yet. Yep, there we go. The antenna's up on top. Roof bars eliminated. I really wanted to... There's a lot of chrome on the front and sides of this car. I wanted to make the edges of the windows chrome, but the pillars themselves plastic. Which is something that I saw in some of the reference cars I looked at. But they're one piece, so I couldn't do that easily. I didn't want to try and paint pillars with like patch panels. And then on the interior, always my least favorite part, but I do want to put some emphasis on the interior, because it's supposed to be a luxury car. The interior is really the most important part. I started off with this dash panel with some nice fake wood on there, which is something that you're definitely going to see in early 2000s premium to luxury cars. I think at this point, real wood's only going to show up on like Rolls Royces. They're $100,000 more. These are default vanilla door cards. I probably could have spruced them up a little more. I thought there was a fixture labeled front door card and rear door card, but they look identical, which seems to be a mistake. So I ended up going for a different set of rear door cards. And they don't blend super perfectly front to back, but the seats will break up the visual continuity there. I probably need to start like testing this with a crash test dummy. I don't always know how to make the seats have them look right in the car. I was like the Bollo last time, the super small car. I kind of disoriented. Ended up making dumb decisions like trying to shoot down the license plates. But no. Just throwing a basic floor in here. I didn't pay as much attention to the floor area. Like I skipped putting in pedals. I don't think it's that big a deal. Did go for the confetti pattern on the carpet. It's a little late for that in the early 2000s, but I just can't get enough of it, so in it goes, even if it's considered outdated. Steering wheels are getting a little evolved. They have airbags in them, but they don't have to be gigantic. And they don't have to say airbag on them. No one's excited to know that there's an airbag in the steering wheel anymore. It's got a CD player. I kind of struggled on picking one. Went with that. We have digital displays by this point. They look pretty good. A lot of the luxury cars have a bigger display than that. But I didn't want to... I was in between picking like just have that that's like a little bit old looking and then full on infotainment systems, which we'll start to get soon enough, maybe in the next facelift even. I wasn't happy with how those things looked on there, so I added this bit in the middle, which is a lot smoother. So in the end, this is what I came up with. I'm still not totally sure I'm happy with the front, but this is what I'm going for. And I was looking a lot at the like indented grills on the Mercedes and the Lexus and stuff at that time, and it's really hard to do. I think you need to make a new fixture that does that, where the grill doesn't just follow the bumper, but comes in and makes a flat space. As for a name, I decided to go real basic, LC370. At least for this with the 3.7 liter engine. I don't know if there'll be any other variants. I have to call them something else. LC for, I don't know, maybe luxury car, or just luxury carrot. I decided even though this is the top of our range, I decided that the hood ornament really broke up the lines of the car. So this one just gets a regular badge. But borrowing the Mercedes or Lexus kind of naming scheme, I think is maybe okay for our super luxury car, even though it doesn't really fit with the rest of the brand. Also, while I was in there, I did take a point of quality off of the fuel injection, because that was the biggest vector for the engine. And I put a little more quality on the interior. So straight up default, we're at 55 months engineering for the car and 64 for the engine. But I can throw money at it. First of all, what's another 100 million get us? Saves about 5 months. Let's see, I do want to get extra learning out of this, since we're doing some new technology on here. Or am I really on the car? Probably. And we'll take some tooling off too. I was at 46 months. You get 48. See if I can get the engine down to that. Doesn't come out in 2002. Engine's gonna have to take a hit. Oh, right, I can take a lot of process off. Because material cost for the engine is pretty low compared to material cost for the car. And if I throw max funding in there, I don't have to cut the reliability, which is good. Could cut the reliability a little bit. There, that's with maximum learning on the engine. Really want to get that direct injection and DVT well practiced. And that'll be replacing the Caesar. You have to come back to this, figure out how many engines I need to make. Car also in the factory replacing the Caesar, currently a small one. I may expand this. Currently estimating that I am spending $400 million to engineer this car, which is 2 months of profit. That's fine. Whether that would obliterate the car's cost basis. In fact, that's very problematic because it won't let me sell the car at a loss.
Huh?
Or no. Now it's telling me my cost produced is $22,000 and not $96,000? Okay, sure. And yeah, Forecaster says I could be selling this thing at $60,000 a pop, and it's going to max out the factory. As I suspected, I'll need a bigger factory. Let's just suppose I go to small 3. I haven't even added trims yet. I may still add trims. If I go for a handmade material, I'll add the Leatherworks. Just name this the LC Engine Factory for now, or Engine Family. And we'll make sure that the factory is big enough. And now it's telling me to price it down, which I can do. So the small 3 factory is pretty healthy with 1 trim at $50,000, and so with 1 trim at $60,000. But what if I add 1 or 2 trims? I could go. I wanted to make like a turbo GT. I think, yeah, the issue is that we don't have a coupe on this body group, which is absurd, in my opinion. I could make a convertible. I could make an SUV, which I really don't want to do. So if I can't make a coupe, I kind of don't want to make a faster one, because this thing could kind of hit GT and Super, but being a sedan is always going to hurt it pretty bad in that area. A 5th seat does pretty well. It hurts a tiny bit in luxury and gains you a lot in family premium kind of markets. But I might make a 4-seater with a handmade interior. You can have the nicest car in existence with 80 comfort. That puts us well ahead of the average luxury premium. That's supposed to be like your Rolls Royce, your Bentley. and we're not even in that price range. So I guess theoretically we're torpedoing those kind of companies. I say that, but our price based on the affordability ratio shown there is far off. So let's make a 4-seater. It's handmade. Call it the, I don't know, 370 Deluxe. Why not? And we'll make the base 370 have 5 seats. Still steering good. Yes, yes, yes. Just entirely too big. Why not? Because it's ugly, that's why not. Sure. LC 370 DX. And, I mean, do I need to change the seat material? Could. I don't wanna. We'll throw a paint on here, though. There, that's our 2000s alternative to the classic purple. Is a somewhat more subtle pink. I'm gonna guess that maybe a Leatherworks is worth 15 million. That's actually as much as the entire cost of upgrading the factory from 1 to 3 size. It's hard to imagine that it is worth it. Labor costs material per car 22.7 without 2.9. So you're telling me that for only $15 million, I can save $200 per car in efficiency? Goes from 68.1 to 72.3. What a great deal. I think I'll have to pass today, though. I do have to up the wages growing my factory. And we were over-automated. Decreasing automation gets me a lot more efficiency. These cars are not engineered to a very high automation. It does mean I'm hiring even more workers. I have to pay them even more, though. It's going to be a little slow to come online, the factory. And thusly reworked. It keeps coming with completely different numbers from car engineering, based, I guess, on how many cars things going to sell in whatever period of time it amortizes that against. We've gone all the way from 75,000, the last mission will be 35,000, now 10,000. All for the same base engineering costs over some different number of cars. And I can definitely afford to decrease the prices. I actually don't want it to be... I said max shifts of 2.5, so I probably want to keep my actual projection around 2 shifts. $55,000 and $65,000 does it. And I'll increase my pre-order deposit to slow down pre-orders. Only, I added 8 months to car engineering with that other interior option. I'll just engineer it to 52 months, whatever. Then the engine can get a little more tooling. That means the cars come out in early 2003, I think. And it's projecting to make a whole bunch of money. No loan. I can spend $500 million, no issue. So it's time to try out the LC370. I think this is by far the largest car Carota Motors has ever produced. I'm here with a force feedback steering wheel for the first time, I think, and a cat in my lap. Let's go. So, of course, 300 horsepower. It doesn't take off like a rocket, especially with the automatic transmission. But it gets up and going very quickly. Oh, it's so quiet inside. Isn't that nice? And this is also our first car with electronic stability control. So as I am with the ESC turned on, I can kind of dick around a bit and not know what I'm doing, as luxury car drivers will tend to do. And it pretty much just sets itself straight all on its own. Brakes are pretty good too. Even though it's very powerful, it's a heavy car. It doesn't take off like some of our sports cars do. Out of the way. Go ahead and put it in sports mode. Is all-wheel drive. Ooh. You know what? Not a scratch on it. I mean, there's a scratch, but this is the same shape. That's what all that new advanced safety gets us. So once we get the ESC in sport mode, I think I left it exactly at 50-50, but it still gets the rear out nicely and it's controllable. That's pretty cool. Now, what I thought might be fun would be to take this on the same route as our time trials for the sports cars. But after all, this thing killed off our supercar, Caesar, and the other sports cars out of production right now. This is the most powerful car we have. Better put it in sport mode. Oof. Gotta watch that it does step out some. Means it's not overly stiff, but oh, it's so heavy. It's so heavy. Oh. You know, I think maybe what gets me is that it feels so smooth. You don't realize you're actually closer to the limit of grip than it might seem. There we go. That feels a little better. Oh, understeer, understeer. I think the smaller cars need to steer a little less through there than this thing does. That's thing you'll notice at autocross for sure. Ooh, come on. All-wheel drive, pulling ahead. Yep, the snow is a little rough. And 209, where does that put me? Not as good as the Caprese. So we cannot market this car on the excuse that it's a complete replacement. Still, it really is a great smooth cruising vehicle. Now, as for the rest of our cars, Khalid North and Khalid East are being overworked, both of which are factories producing the Bollo engine, and they are limited by available staff, so that will get a little better actually as we hire. I'm seeing a lot of places limited by available staff, so I know I want to expand. I'm going to just wait until the end of the year, 3 months, and see if those shifts go up much before I make my decisions. Yeah, we're at 3 shifts in Khalid East. Khalid North is limited by engine under production. Khalid North Engine Factory also is max shifts. Yeah. Okay. So, because we have all these pre-orders on these cars, what I want to do is expand my factory and not create new facelifts right now. Even though I know people are clamoring for facelifts on these cars because they look ugly or are old. But right now, I want to keep making the same facelifts they have pre-ordered and fill those pre-orders. First, 2 factories making the Bollo are at maximum size. So what I'm actually going to do is just add a factory for the Bollo. Let's see. Let's say it's in the capital, Turso. Same name as the update that they'll be working on soon. On a huge plot. That'd be a huge factory. That takes forever to build. I don't want to wait until after the LC is out in production just to increase the number of Bollo engines we're making on our existing car. The demand might even have finally died off by then. Yeah, that's just the thing. Factories are not very fast to build. I could build like multiple smaller ones, but that's not efficient. It's not what I want to be doing at this stage of the game. Let's start off as a large one. 38 months. That's still a big oof. The add-ons, like expanded offices and staff facilities, which are built over here, don't seem to add to the build time, so I'm taking those. And this has the potential to be a huge factory, but later. That's going to run us close to $1 billion. Now let's see. Illuzione is our most overworked car factory, or our most pre-worked car. And that one can be expanded on its existing plot. I want to shut down for 18 months on my most demanded car. That's painful. I might just do it though. And we're getting a little big for our country, so I'm having to cut my hiring standards a little bit. That's 1.2 billion. Alright, so we're adding a Bollo engine factory. We're expanding our Illuzione car factory. Alright, what about Coniglio Caprese? Coniglio is made in 2 factories, one of which is not maxed out. Let's make that a large 3. Build every trim except for the Elite there, which is also, I think, the medium factory. Hiring, it's not too bad. Pay a little more. Costs us $2 billion. Might take a loan on that to be safe. And the Canguro, let's see, where's the Caprese man? Let's say that's Khalid West. The Canguro is a huge plot, so that's Turso North. That takes a year, $2 billion, which I'm taking on a loan. And it also means the pancrator motor needs to get expanded for the same amount of time. Cutting QA a little bit just to make more motors. Alright, hopefully I haven't torpedoed my company by putting some important factories on hold. What's going to happen in the next year? Should be losing money. Alright, only losing $82 million a month. That's perfectly fine. And I have all kinds of warnings because I have factories that aren't producing and factories that want stuff now, our sales are going to go down. It's probably going to hurt our market awareness. But this big-ass expansion is necessary. You can see the first factory is complete exactly at 2,000. Company valuation and credit rating is taking a big hit. All right, factories are open. And we're making even more money than we were before. Good. Valuation's back up. Good time to own Carota stock. You could have made like 60% profit in the last 6 months and climbing. I'm assuming the stock price reflects company valuation. That's not always the case in real life. All right, where are we seeing? Terso North. I failed the plots. Come on. The Alrima time buttons are definitely better. Terso North is limited by engine production. Lead North is limited by engine production. Bollo's at 100% factory utilization. Even though we have stock. Not sure why that is. So Leningrad is running at 1.1 shifts. Is that my minimum shifts? I guess it's about. I'm going to cut my minimum shifts at Leningrad because we're overproducing Bollos. Lead North. I guess that's a medium factory. Solely produces the Coniglio Elite. Well, there's not much more I can do to get more Bollo engines until this big factory finishes. But the Coniglio has caught up on pre-orders, except for the Elite, which is only made at that medium factory. Guro is still in pre-orders. Caprese is still in pre-orders. Caesar is very much not still in pre-orders. We have lots of stock of that. Illuzione is catching up. Bollo is in stock. LC, the earliest pre-orders are starting to come in. Now that it's 2001, I am losing money on emissions. That's all due to the Canguro, because I changed something. I figured out what it was last time, but I forgot since then. I'm losing on emissions on the Canguro. Well, let's see. So the Canguro is out of pre-orders. I think that means I can facelift the Canguro. Although if I facelift the Bollo engine, I have to facelift everything? Only the Illuzione is still in pre-order, so I can leave that alone. I think all of these use a Pincrater motor. Some of the Canguros do too, but I'll figure that out. Actually, before I do this, because I have a new factory building, that factory is going to tool the old Bollo motor. So if I revise the Bollo motor, I kind of want that factory to be done. That's not going to happen for 18 months. Meanwhile, I'm losing emissions the whole time. I might eat the hit of just wasting that factory's first tooling. And like a few $100 billion with that. And having to redo it. I think that's where we are with that, so we don't have another choice. I mean, sit here, but 2001 feels like a good time for a facelift for everything. Wow, the Canguro is starting to get a body age penalty, even for family market. And more than that, for family premium. That means that the Coniglio must be doing even worse. It's a little early, but I could try to go for direct injection here in the 2000s. I've already got some of the familiarity from my other ongoing project. It would cost us a lot, though. Assuming, anyway, in terms of engineering time. Thanks to the project map, I can skip forward to engine engineering. Yeah, so if I switch to direct injection, it's going to take 3 years. It's almost new engine kind of time. If I don't do that, I can probably get those sliders way higher, which I want to do because it's a new engine. Let's stick to multi-point. I think we can go to +7, maybe. Quality. Which also gains us some nice reliability. And we'll hit emissions optimization. going from 2 to 4 gives us a nice, most of the fuel map being emissions optimized, and gets us WES 11. And even though the default fuel map that our engineers would want to use as like a nice lean chunk, really going to emissions optimization loses us, 0.1% fuel efficiency and gains a lot of throttle response, funny enough. I do not associate emissions-focused fuel maps with responsive throttle, but whatever we were tuning for before, I guess I have the lean slider on here, is worse than Lambda 1. What else needs to change? EVL time? Wow, that adds 10 kilos to the engine, and does not add any desirability in the eyes of family buyers, at least. Maybe the sport version could have it. I also thought here about going to low friction cast pistons for even more fuel economy, but it hurts my reliability because I guess the low friction pistons not like the amount of power that I'm making at a whopping 95 horsepower. And quality sliders wise, adding more quality to the bottom end would not even gain me a point of reliability. But I did get some top end and exhaust, and of course, fuel system. Oh gosh, I think I need to make a turbo one, don't I? Or do I have one? I forgot I had plans to expand the Bollo's lineup. But first, the car. I'm just making the basic version right now. 6-speed manual, helical all-wheel drive. Not much to write home about, but it works. So it looks like I went kind of low on the quality of driver assists last time. Although I have the option of basically either I can crank that quality up for what we have, or I can go add stability control, maybe variable steering to the car. And they like that variable hydraulic steering a lot. It's a lot better than the traditional steering rack. ESC, by comparison, only adds a little bit of drivability. So I might make that the focus point. We'll stick with just traction control, no ESC. But we'll go to the fancy steering rack. And hit +5. Find out if that's even viable. Yeah, better not re-engineer the safety. Could go to +2 on it. It hurts my drivability a chunk for some reason because it pushes the weight around. So overall, only very small incremental change to the car. Comes from over here. Okay, I can see right now. I cannot see right now what the engineer would be. Gosh, I gotta replicate my changes. Okay, fast forward mode. Something I've noticed is the roll angle is insane on these cars. I don't think it was like that before. I gotta add some sway bars. The Marsupio here uses the 6-cylinder motor. I was hoping not to have to tweak that so I don't have to touch my SUVs, but I'm not hitting WES 11 with just a little more transmission quality. I was going 5 to 6 speeds in the automatic here. Hand crater gets almost no changes, at least for the Marsupio. Gotta think now about how many cars will be tied up in this. Currently looking at 18 months on the pan crater. It's mostly family engineering time. I think that's kind of based on how long it's been since it last. Bollo, similar. Not even big changes yet. We're already at an 18-month cycle for this. Fortunately, to even see the engineering times for the cars, I have to go update every variant. Trim, I should say. Yeah, the cheap car finally gets a CD player, because the standard CD is no longer really unlocked. And a sports car, for that matter, it's just a CD player. I need to make sure I don't have any cassettes left and anything else. Yeah, we already had premium CD players in the standard car. I think the reason the sports car didn't get it is probably because I forgot. I know last time I played around with engine variants for the sports car and ended up using the car version of the Pan Crater and not the sports version of it. That said, I'm awfully tempted to make a fancier version and see if it does any better this time. I want to say that that gets tuned for something else first, though. Alright, so at 40 months engineering time, that's coming from drivetrain and driver assists. Don't love it, because I really just wanted to get my emissions in order, and that's 3 more years of paying significant fines on emissions until these cars actually come out. And also, like, I guess we'll have that factory making engines for the old version that will still be in production. The big new engine factory at Terso. But, I wonder if I shouldn't drop all my new features and just get this one to be the emissions facelift. Driver assists and drivetrain. I only upped my quality on drivetrain stuff. I didn't think I made any big drivetrain changes other than adding a gear to the automatic, of which the Marsupio might be the only one with the automatic. I go back to 5 speeds. I do still pass emissions that way. I do from engineering time. Not that much. But I might not be able to save that much time no matter what I do then. I can take like 1 point of quality off, but that's not going to save it either. I guess it's just been too long since we updated our all-wheel drive system, and now everything's got to be different. So all I can do is play the sliders. Oh, one last thing on the Canguro before I go try to tweak the engineering sliders. There is a Pan Crater Sport. I probably have time to put like DVL or something on it. That's at 99% family sport with the proper sport motor that makes 250 horsepower. For the less proper sport motor, it's 180, has me sitting at 97%. It's not that much of a difference, but it doesn't mean emissions yet, so I'll have to make some tweaks. And honestly, that engine's going to get tuned for the other car first. Alright, 39 months. That's not good enough. Let's, quadruple the funding. Save 8 months. Let's put pressure on our engineers. Don't need to learn as much from this. We're not doing as new features. It's 27 months. I hate to drop my precious tooling reliability sliders. This is what make our cars actually good. 26 months of paying lots of fines. I guess I'll have to live with that. Meanwhile, trying to add DVL is a problem. I'm going to take quality off for the Pan Crater 6-cylinder. Did that ruin the car? It did not ruin the car. Well, actually it ruined the desirability, to the point where I'd be better off having the non-sport motor again. It's funny how tenuous that can be. Or maybe not. I just changed my selected countries or something at some point when going in and out of the map. But either way, the point is that the sports car engine has to have not +6 quality on the VVT. Bollo currently is looking A-OK. In fact, it has room to add features, I think. Yeah, I'll do another interesting one. The Bollo's first facelift. I think we saw before that the sports version was selling pretty well, but basically all that it is a version with a manual gearbox, because we put CVTs on the regular Bollo. There's the tail lights that I'm told look bad. Let's think on this. At this point, I feel like I've been rambling a bit, because the sheer interconnectedness of all the different cars and engines and engineering screens and engineering times is starting to hurt my brain. But we're on the Bollo, we're facelifting the Bollo, and we have to make it quick. But before we even start to think about big stuff like adding variants, it has a few major issues to be dealt with. First off, I have to agree we can do better on these taillights. And the second major issue that I'm aware of, just to begin with, is that we are failing safety standards in Gasmia and Hypatia.
Stop! You violated the law.
Those each have a safety standard of 45. This car has a safety level of 43, and apparently one of the variants has a standard level safety instead of advanced, which is not good. First off, I'm trying to pick something a little more similar to the LC for our taillights. In fact, can I just do the LC taillights? I can. I want them to match the body lines. I wish I could, like, just skew them rhombus-wise. Some of those things look better in my head, honestly. Gosh, will that do for now? If I patch over this body line, I can tend the tailgate. Match up with the edges of these tail lights, that'll be better. Or in fact, what I can do is also the same thing. That horizontally, make that, that. There, then we have a piece of tail light that's on a tailgate, and the rest is on the fender. I think we're looking okay-ish. This plastic bumper is flat and fast, but I can just be like that. Alright, so how about the safety? I want to hit 45, and then we're good until 2010. So what can I do other than go to advanced 2000s? That'll do it right away, but it's going to cost some engineering time. I go equal to tech pool. It's still not enough. I need interior quality as well. It's adding a lot of cost. I don't know. Go down to just +2. Yeah, it's only quality. 2000s, my engineering time will be, what? 25.5. Meanwhile, this strategy adds a lot of cost. I go on quality slider, almost $1,000. Where material cost is really what I watch out for here, but the engineering time is like half as much. That's also a painful option because it hurts the very goal of this car, which is to be cheap, cheap, cheap. But I don't think I can get the engineering time in half without just ruining the whole vehicle in terms of also being cheap with the engineering sliders. Gosh, well, I need to think about my budget differently because, yeah, the Canguro is going to take 26 months. So really, the Bollo has to take 26 months, like it or not, because everything gets tied together when you share engines. Just squeak my 45.0 if I get the safety quality down to +1. on Advanced 2000 safety, and some weight slider, and interior quality up to +5 with premium. It gives me a total engineering time of around 23 months, which is manageable. This also went from 25 down to 20 for that one quality point. It's a big difference. And the material cost is like $500 less. And more of that material cost is coming from the increased interior quality, which obviously has other benefits in terms of reliability and comfort. +5, +6 in the CVT quality.
Stop!
Oh, and this does strange things. I can increase quality on the transmission and lose a tiny fraction of safety. Where it says 45.0 here, it's actually less than a 45.0 required by the country. But if I make the car a little bit heavier, it's okay. Alright, overall the car has gained some weight and some price, but the desirability is like great. It's basically the same car it was before, just with a safety system update and quality sliders. Just out of curiosity, is ESC on the menu in terms of engineering time? No, it is not. It's like so much of your car's value or effectiveness is tied up in having a low enough engineering time to increase your sliders, but you have one single feature with a long engineering time, and that requires you to decrease the sliders, affecting the whole car, or wait a very long time, which in this case is not really an option, considering that the car that shares these engines needs to meet emissions as soon as possible. So we're keeping manual steering and traction control, but we will go to +6 quality. I plan to aim for +1 quality on safety. It seems to be falling apart when I look at the car with the standard interior. I could have the cheapest trim just not meet standards in Gasmia, but that's not what I want to do. I find it very hard not just spend on safety. +7 interior quality, which is a little against the philosophy of this car, does the job and is still cheaper than a premium interior, I guess. So that might be the route we take. God, I swear I changed something somewhere.
You violated the law.
And it's a different 45.0 safety that's not good enough. Alright, squeaked across by slapping more weight on it. I could have sworn it was honestly just passing, and I went to the engineering screen and came back and it wasn't anymore, but whatever, I'm not going to question it. I missed I can make this thing into a dedicated coupe if I wanted to. Oh god, +2 rear seats ruin the sport version for safety.
Violated the law.
And only 2 seats.
Stop!
Still not safe
You
enough.
violated the law.
I don't even pretend to understand what makes this one less safe than the other ones. I go to full-size seats. You reach it. I guess you need the added weight in the rear seats. It's more safe than just not having them. They're crucial structural parts to the chassis, in fact, because it's so flimsy to begin with. Well, with that established, we can discuss what kind of motor to put in this thing. So we haven't got much of a sport version. Of course, once again, this is not the car that I want to tune the sports engine around. I might want to put it in BVL or even a turbo, but it's all very time dependent. So that might be one to come back to. Because everything's interconnected. But before I call it a day, or call it good enough for now, what about a coupe? And I'm not going to seriously consider the convertible, just on the basis that it'll never, ever, ever pass safety. It's a funny looking guy, doesn't scream sports car. Of course, it's not meeting safety. Let's just suppose for now we do the +2 quality safety. It still is not exactly desired by light sports or anything. So I don't need to figure out how to make this thing. Just delete it. Because it would be an engineering nightmare to get the safety on this slightly smaller coupe body. That was amusing, but no one wants to buy it anyhow. If it suddenly showed with green and light sport, it might be more interesting. And I'll figure that out later. I can add some sliders to it. Okay. Except for maybe the sport models, if we do sport engines, we have the Bollo and Canguro lined up. Let's take care of the Illuzione SUV next. Looks like desirability-wise, we're still doing very well. I honestly already forgot what I changed on the pancrator for cars. So I want to match the major changes in this truck version. Now we hit emissions optimization. And bam, just one click, West 11. That's all I needed. I'm sorely missing the feature from Alrilma that shows you what your other trim's quality sliders are at. I want to say it went to +6 top end quality, maybe. But basically no major changes. We can go to 6-speed automatics to match the ones in the Canguro. I do like that. It adds everything. Getting another transmission speed in there. Reliability is fine. And a point of quality. Handling needs to be fixed. Something changes about the weight distribution. Have unlocked off-road sway bars, which is yeah, it's got a disconnecting bit in the middle. So basically you can press a button inside the car and disengage your sway bars for more extreme swaying, which adds 5 points of off-road and costs us not too much, seemingly. I might try to make that standard. It does cost a little reliability. Or a point of quality too, maybe, hopefully. There's a bit of rounding going on with some of these tech pool areas where over here it says I have +4 tech pool. The tooltip says 5.0. Which I guess is, it's actually 4.99 and these two windows treat differently. Styling wise, I think we're not great, but tolerable for the 2000s. Come to think of it, the cargo van does not probably need off-road sway bars. I can get the other features, including standard CD now. I point to interior quality. Uh-oh, failing safety standard.
Stop! You
on the utility trim.
You violated the law.
Not sure why only the utility trim. That 44.5. What's my other one? Yeah, 45.1 for delivery, so just barely passing the standards. Gasman Hitvasia. 46.4. Something about this is a lot safer, apparently. Maybe it's a better quality interior, makes a big difference. I'll have advanced 90 safety. Yeah, I did not realize that I had so many trims that were going to stop selling in Gasman Hitvasia by the year 2000. Or maybe I would have done a facelift earlier on. So what can I do to get half a point safety? Did up the interior quality, all of these. I guess the main difference is just it's a smaller cabin. The hell, 2 full-size seats. Am I mad? I could have sworn this thing was a 4-seater or a 5-seater even. I made the car with all these seats. My God, I have to go back and look at my video. This does not look right. This does not match. That we have actually 2 seats in the car, and I've designed this. I put seats in the back visually anyway. Apparently, this 4-door body. Is that right? 4 doors. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Someone's done an oopsie. In the game files, it looks like this truck body is 4 doors, but supports only 1 seat row if it's front engined, and 2 seat rows if it is rear engined. Normally, I wouldn't think this body would support a rear engine at all, or certainly would make the bed higher or something. I'm certain that's supposed to be reversed, but I'm on an older game version right now, and I don't know if the newer game version actually has that problem or not. But they made an update to Ellisbury, and just jacked all my shit up, I'm guessing. Hang on, I have to go on YouTube and look at my old video and see if I had the seats in this thing. Okay, nope. I checked. I've made that oversight from the beginning. I thought this was a vehicle with more seats, but it's just a disaster. It doesn't make any sense. Whatever. I have to accept my shame now. We'll just say these seats are in back, but they don't legally count as seats. I'd like to make it a 3-seater. Only that hurts my safety. And I'm already failing safety standards. So I really can't afford to do that. Let's go for a heavier body. I surrender. I'll spend a point of quality on safety. Cool. Now we're back to like 300% desirability, apparently. Yeah, I did notice sales were down a bit. I guess that's why, because we're only selling in Fruinia, Beluga, and Hetvasia for some of these trims. And Wes 10 for this guy, the Elite variant. Maybe it's okay to pay a small penalty on emissions on that. But let's see if I can do something about it. Point aerodynamics. Point interior. Luxury CD. Do we have sat nav still an early unlock? I'll put sat nav in this. I want to spend an early unlock. I can afford to put alloy wheels on this, which does demand a visual change of some kind. Keeping the white color for tradition, though. And some of those changes I made the car a little lighter, and we just squeaked by WES 11 emissions without having to make any really compromising changes. That's good. Also, having to think about it too hard. Yeah, we got to 59.5 milligrams per kilometer of NOx produced with a maximum of 60.0. So we're passing a 0.8% margin. You know what? That's fine. Even if in the real world, once these things get a little dirty, they will be performing worse than that. And now, as is tradition, only after going through every single variant, I have to see if I fucked up on the engineering time, and I kinda did. Just gonna have to put pressure and funding on to make this work. I think it'll be okay. How many 8 months was that it? I don't remember. I'll check and fix it later. It's probably 26 months. I'll have to tweak that. That's fine. Let's see what else. Caprese 2, our sports car. We get to do our sport variant of the engines, and then see back to the other models if they like those sport variants. Something somewhere along the line got cursed, because I already have 2 Bollo Sport Bs. I'm going to temporarily change the name. Bollo Sport B Real. So let's see. Our existing Bollo Sport has very high compression. Are we failing safety standards? You know what? Let's worry about that first. Then I can see the effects on the car better. It's already pretty reasonable. 2 plus 2. Oh my god. 35.7.
Stop!
Safety. We are not even close. In fact, I think that we are simply going to have to replace the car entirely. Past safety. That's simply how it is. It almost makes me want to end production. Yeah, no way is this thing getting past fucking 45 safety. I go to advanced 2000s, we're at 42 safety. I go up to tech pool on quality, we're at 43. Only I think the engineering time on that will not be practical. Yeah, pretty much redesigning the safety like that. I still need to find a few more points. Would take as long as designing a new car from scratch. In fact, you know what? That's what I'll do. I'm not going to spend the time on this right now. Sport variants of the engine can be made directly for the other cars. And we'll assign this factory to another model. And we'll come back with another sports car.
Your stolen goods are now forfeit. Forfeit.
So Caesar's going away, Caprese is going away. That leaves me with the Coniglio. And damn, is this thing looking old. Luckily, at least this is passing safety standards. And we're at a 5% body age penalty in middle-class car demographics like family and commuter. Not that it's going to sell poorly, despite that. Just throw the new engine in there, and they want it. I think I make the changes as minimal as possible, because this car also needs to be replaced soon. I can see that Commuter Premium for the Elite Coniglio really is starting to get hurt in terms of actual desirability. And the body age again is a factor in that. This body is failing safety standard. I guess a plus 2 seats are worse.
The law.
It's barely failing though. Throw a point of quality in there. 2. Pass. I'm not sure why I had traction control and ABS as an optional feature. Maybe reliability back when I made that decision. I think that's kind of... say it's better now. It's not that much better. Still losing 3 points outright. But the sports car can get traction control now. And let's experiment a little bit. For the Bollo Sport, I'd like to get BVL. Adding more power doesn't seem to help me that much in terms of desirability. Like, I think it kind of makes it a better car, but buyers don't seem to care that much. Throw a 6-speed just in the sports one, maybe. I want to know, what has that done to my engineering times on the engine? It is affordable. We can afford to put BVL on the Bollo. So even if it's not in very many cars, I'm going to make sure it gets engineered this time around. So I'm free to put as much VVL as I want to later into standard or sports variants of other Bollo-based cars. The Merida Sedan is the last one to not have traction control, and it's getting it as standard this time around. apparently the Merda wagon already had it. That feels like an oversight on my part, maybe. Not sure. And everyone gets, again, CD players. Cassettes are passe now. We have unlocked basic CD with max familiarity. That's practically the only change, is that they get a CD player now. And the new engine, of course, which is a little more reliable. Now that leaves one thing left to mess with. And that's that I didn't figure out exactly what I want to do for sport trims on the Bollo and Canguro cars. Mainly if I want to make them a little more powerful, or try to make a turbo version or something. So just for laughs on the Bollo, which that has that sport version of the engine too, but I think I went and made that. Whatever, they don't hate the engine anyway. The sport version that's just the VVL. Makes 130 horsepower. Ooh, it's not doing great on emissions. Click optimization. And we're done. Very easy, that's how emissions work in Ellsbury. As long as your engine's modern enough. We have this other sport motor, which is 118 horsepower with no VVL. So interestingly, clicking VVL, I just straight up gain power. It looks better to me. I've seemingly lost sportiness and drivability. I wonder if it's a little too much for the tires or what. You would think just having the same torque curve down low and more power up top would be the perfect formula for a sports variant of existing engine. But this one, I'm going to throw a turbo on it. Watch it explode, apparently. Variable geometry. We've done that shit before. I don't think we have. AI generated standard turbo, which it has utterly choked the engine to 60 horsepower. Good job. Set the RPM limit to 2,300. Good job. Thanks. Oh god, what's it done to everything? I just jacked up my entire engine tune. The more powerful I make the car, like 200 horsepower of a little turbo, the less sporty it becomes. I guess it destroyed the throttle response. No, it's good. It has lost reliability, that's for sure. Would need to be forged. So I'd need to add a forged factory for the Bollo to make that kind of power. Maybe we'll stick with naturally aspirated engines for now. I do want to make a turbo variant of the Bollo. Maybe come up with our new sport car that we've been sorely remiss on. So the Bollo and Coniglio sport versions get the VVL Bollo motor. The Canguro, right now, our Canguro Rosso, the fast version, has a non-sport variant of the Pincrater, making 180 horsepower. Family Sport apparently likes top speed and cornering, which we're both doing okay on. We're doing better than competition. 164 miles an hour, in fact, is not bad for a family sport kind of car in the 2000s, in my opinion. But what if I make one with that sport Bollo motor that makes like 130 horsepower? Do they like it more, is the question. So, interestingly, comparing the VVL smaller motor to the naturally aspirated bigger motor that is more powerful, what we see in the stat comparison is worse drivability, worse sportiness, worse comfort, worse prestige, worse safety. I guess the extra heavier engine up front helps. Worse reliability, much better fuel economy. Worse utility, it's not as torque. And it's considerably lighter overall. So basically it's telling me the bigger naturally aspirated engine is the way to go. And they're both naturally aspirated, but just like a bigger, mildly tuned engine makes a good family sports car compared to a small hotly tuned engine. That's kind of a disappointing answer, but for now it is our answer. Now that we've signed off on the new Bollo Rapide, I think it'd be a good chance to check out our cheapest sports car compared to our most expensive one. Let's go ahead and turn the traction control off. I also went to the lengths of making the steering wheel rotate and beam, although we're at the camera position, you can't see it that well. And I tweaked my force feedback a little bit, so hopefully I can handle the car a little better this time. So this thing has about half as much engine and half as much wheel drive as the new LC370. If I'm being honest, it does feel more responsive. That's why I'm a small cars guy. Ooh, this thing actually feels good. We're also at less than half the horsepower. 130 with VVT. Oop, tapped a little bit. Should have got a tachometer that I can actually read in this car. Too late now. Doing this lap, keeping it. With the traction control turned off, it spins the wheels pretty good. Alright, snow turn. For not being all-wheel drive, that feels pretty planted. Oh, alright, here we go, here we go, here we go. That was, I think, 2 seconds slower. 3 seconds slower. It certainly felt like more of a sports car to drive, even though it's just a front-wheel drive compact. But it would be a little embarrassing for the LC370 if this thing was faster. So maybe it's good that it came with a slower time. So, 26 months. That's the time to optimize everything towards, and that's what I'm going to do. As for the pancrator, nothing's even getting the new sport engine. All I can really do is kind of maximize the tooling reliability. These last few points of tooling quality get very expensive. It's probably not ideal if I'm kind of running my factories for a short time, but with $200 million coming in a month, I guess it's worth it. Right now it's telling me my Bollo factories will be overworked. Although I guess that's what the new factory is supposed to solve. It's not quite here yet. I could build up a huge factory, look at this facility, in 18 months. But we're already at large 3, and maybe I'll just stay there. I'm not sure the demand's quite there for a huge factory. And it's just making all 5 trims at good enough efficiency. Forecaster's telling me that maybe it's time to price all these down a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be true when we get done, but let's see how we're looking with a little cheaper prices. Like Canguro. Supposedly not helping. Well, we'll see if that's true. Alright, the Bollo, we already have this process slider extremely high. So it has a big effect on the final cost of each car. So I can afford better tooling and better reliability. The Leningrad factory, I think, can stay at large 1 only for now. I'm going to try and tack on the expanded offices expansion. I can even tack on QA testing. Wages are very high to keep us hired up. I forgot about that. I expanded. Let's try staff facilities. It doesn't actually make me hire staff faster or more cheaply. It just makes the build quality ultimately better. I think we're doing okay in that regard. Up the automation a little bit. Upping tooling quality, it's telling me up here that that's eating into my profits. So maybe I won't for now. Bollo prices can stay about where they are. Illuzione needs some engineering time cuts, where the big factor is our new fancy sway bars. I think I can make up for it by just throwing money at the problem. And losing a couple points of process slider. Has expanded offices and QA testing. Excellent. Big difference. The highly experienced factory in Fruinia has a 0.1% chance of a recall. And I think the Leningrad one said it was 0.9. I also have our QA threshold turned up for whatever reason. I can probably turn that down. These prices... probably okay where they are. I can cut them later if I need to. Let's see. Khalid North Factory makes the Elite and some of the other more popular trims. I think the big one makes every trim except for the Elite, is it? Good God, our recall chance is extremely low. We're also not seeing slowdown anyway. Because I guess once you run your factory on the same car for long enough, every single person working there is a master craftsman. Or something. Slap the expanded offices on this one. 10% reduction in material costs, I think, is actually just huge. I had been overlooking it for a while. It's probably the final go for the Coniglio. So what do I want to get into here? I could slap on process slider to the extreme like I did with the Bollo and make these Coniglios inexpensive while I'm still selling them. And we're going to make it a budget engineering as well. This is going to cost like a fraction of what all the other ones do. I guess it's because I made all my factories bigger. But most of these shift predictions are kind of low. Let's see if I can't cut prices here and there. That accomplishes anything for me. Now it's telling me that if I slap the prices down, it has no effect in the first few years, but after 10 years, I'll suddenly have a jump in demand. That sounds wrong. Bollo standard engine is not used by a factory, but it's used by at least trim. Okay, which one of you didn't get the new engine? Cargo van. I failed to click on the new engine for it. Okay, 26 months to engineer everything. Total cost of $4 billion. We'll do that with no loan, I think. Go ahead and sign off. And once the engine factories start engineering, probably the factory that makes a Caprese, I'm going to reassign it to whatever seems to have the most demand. I just want to go a couple months forward and see what my finances are looking like. I got to think if I want to spend a little more on marketing and R&D. Oh, maybe I made a mistake when I slapped expansions on one of those factories. Khalid East is going to be out of commission for more than a year. And in that case, I am going to be losing money for a while. We're also starting to really take a hit on emissions.
Violated. violated the court fine.
In light of this, I'm just going to put any additional spending on hold for now. Terso engine factory is going to be done soon. Hopefully, the demand is still there because most of my car factories are now down to one shift, as the current facelift isn't meeting safety standards everywhere.
You violated the law.
This may be the first time I really feel like I make a mistake managing the company, in fact. 2002, what's coming up? New bodies. That's all full of goofy mod bodies. Let's see what it really is. 3 car trims fail emissions and are costing us big money. And we're paying $211 million of taxes. Basic 2000 safety coming up. 8-speed automatics. The good electric power steering coming up. Smart boost. And luxury infotainment will soon not be an early unlock. Or no, we had sat-nav as an early unlock. And it's already going to be a standard soon. Infotainment's coming soon as an early unlock. Alright, so the Terso factory is operational, making Bollo motors. And that's had the interesting effect of... Apparently, also we make Lead North. Or no, that's making the Caesar. Terso factory is operating. And the Khalid East factory is more expensive per engine to make the Bollo that's also making. So it's shut down. It's at 0 shifts. Khalid North is still also making Bollos, though. Having factories running at 0 shifts, though, is not great. And the Khalid East car factory is at 0 shifts because we're rebuilding it. Uh-oh, Terso had a quality issue. A giant engine factory. What's it going to cost me? Not that much. 13% chance of discovery. I'll take the quiet recall for $8 million. We are losing money for the first time in a while as construction begins in earnest. These giant entangled facelifts I have to do that involve every car. Also really looking forward to playing on Alrima. High refresh costs go away. Where you can make the old facelift of an engine at the same time in the same factory. And that means that you can more easily update just one car at a time, if they do share an engine. So right at the start of 2003, the LC is going to come out. And then in, August or whatever, we're going to have... Come on. Terso had another quality issue. Also quiet recall. Once all our cars come out again, we should be on the good side of emissions. Hopefully forever after this. The fact that you hit the highest emission standard in the early 2000s potentially kind of feels like there's nowhere to go after that, so it just gets easier and easier to meet emissions. Terso had a quality issue. What the fuck is wrong with this factory? What are you guys doing over there? Got the Three Stooges just fucking shit up. Maybe the last 10 months are flawed. I'm finding flaws, slower than they're happening. This means that this flaw was happening at the same time as the other flaw was happening. But some positive news. The LC is out. Let's see how that's selling. It's got deep pre-orders. It's a pretty similar split between the 370 and 370 Deluxe. We're making what delivers we can. Definitely made the right call on a small 3 factory. In fact, I might need to increase the prices. I'll give it a couple months and see what changes. Looking at luxury, we are actually still not that high up on the list. And apparently that means most of our trim sales of the LC are not to the luxury market. Because we're selling like 500 of them. There's 100 of them shown here in a luxury. So where are they? Are they in premium instead? No. Well, some of them are. Equal split. Family premium, we're doing okay there. But that's not where the LCs are going. We're also only the 6th largest seller in that category, apparently. We were on top a few years ago. It feels like maybe we're slipping a little bit. Fun. That's a category that we're doing extremely well in. Delivery we're dead on top of. Where are all these LCs going? I want this monthly sales data, but like for a single car trim. Whatever, someone's buying them anyway. They're doing quite well. I'm going to jack up the price by, let's say $3,000. $58,000 to $68,000. The LCs. It takes a month and a half off our pre-orders. Yeah, Gastella's understaffed. The LC factory is understaffed, actually. All right, everything has finished engineering now in 2003. We were losing a lot of money for a month there. But we're back on track. Not with record profits, but very good profits. As an early unlock, I'm about to have Advanced 10 safety. I might consider that for a new car. Sales are falling a little bit. So are my expenses. What were my expenses so high? They flipped around. Well, whatever. Now we have some, I think, record or near record profits. 300 million coming in. A few months of pre-orders and everything, but not crazy pre-orders. We have 500 Caesars in stock, and they are going to take forever to sell the last of them. It's not letting me change the price. I can't open the forecast for the Caesar because they're not in production. I forgot to reassign the Caprese factory as well. What needs it the most? Canguros, Coniglios, Illusiones need more production. And so we're going to assign it to. So what factory is assigned to Caprese 2? Lead West, medium 2 size factory. Figure for the latest SUVs. You can expand it for 9 months. Nah, why don't we get 3 months pretty quick? Maybe make just passenger one. So I can make all 4. It doesn't hurt to be that bad in terms of efficiency. No loan, sign it off. That should be done by the end of 2003. Lead East and North overworked. You know what's frustrating is I make my car and engine the same name. I get this message. I don't know whether it's the car or the engine. All right, so my car factories are limited by engine production. Terso, what the hell? Terso is making the Bollo Sport at 0 shifts? What happened? Oh, I forgot. As soon as I finished this, I needed to retool my Terso factory. That's my problem. You know what? I'm going to pretend that I'm smart and efficient. Didn't really do anything in the last couple bits. And load the 2003 autosave, which I should have, and do that when I meant to do it. Save scumming, because I just forgot to do stuff. Real pro gamer moment. But I get to pretend that I'm smart and organized when I have save files, unlike in real life. Okay, end of 2002, a couple factories need to be reassigned. The Caprese is done, and we're sending that to make Illusiones. And the Terso factory needs to be facelifted to the new version of the Bollo motor. Both kinds. That's going to take 2 months and $30 million. That's just fine. No loan. Sign off. And I guess I also want to go ahead and do what I did and increase the price of the LC. It's selling slow. Or building slow. Selling fast. Factories can't keep up. Once again, of course, we're losing lots of money as these factories just finish up. But once we're through it, we're doing better. For whatever reason, marginally less better this time. Maybe it was the right decision to have my factories overworked, change them over late. 400 million profits, that's gotta be a record. But only for 1 month, and back to 200 million. Very spiky. Alright, January of 2004. Advanced 10 safety is coming. We're almost caught on pre-orders for the Bollo. Everything else... Oh, we're caught on pre-orders for the Coniglio and Canguro. Even say that their sales have slumped a little bit. 3 car trims fail emissions.
Pay the court a fine.
Oh, I'm still selling leftover Canguros from the previous facelift. That's what that warning's about. That's fine. I'm not worried about it. We're bringing in $20 million net from emissions credits. So I'm fine selling off our old stock that's still causing a penalty of some kind. Illuzione SUVs are now maybe solidly our best seller. They're flying off the shelves. So it's now 2004. I feel like we're getting into the era where a lot of you might have owned cars that actually were made at this time period. I start to look at the cars my company is making, not as much as a fantasy. It's like, man, I'd buy a Bollo Rapide for sure. So do you guys have any cars from around this time? I had a 2003 Honda Civic, absolute base model, no VTEC, with a manual transmission, steel wheels. I love that thing. It was pretty beat up when I sold it, but I still miss it sometimes. Anyway, I think this might actually be a good point to stop for this episode. Made 1 new model, a round of facelifts, and we definitely need some more new models already. You could say the results so far have been a little bit disappointing, in that I think in the last episode, we were nearly on top of the world. We were on top of the world in terms of sales in a lot of markets, and now we've slipped a little bit. But still, I think expanding our factories was probably the right decision, because most of them are running over 2 shifts still. The only one that's not is a secondary factory for the Coniglio. Or I should say the primary factory for the Coniglio. It's running at 1 shift, but I think what's going on is that it's competing for engines with the other cars. We don't even have enough engines. Even Terso is overworked. So yeah, I guess factory size is still more of a limiting factor than our cars being good. And we're also competing with ourselves a little bit. We're selling a lot of previous facelift trims still. And it looks like most of that will be done within the next year if I just leave it alone. I might price them down to get rid of them faster. We're making $200 million a month somewhat consistently. I think it's probably time that I invest more in R&D. We're spending $80 million. I can probably add another 20 to 40 million. Not sure in what categories. I feel like chassis is the most effective. I can go to plus 10 for 40 million. But if I do that, I won't actually get the research for a while. And I won't get to use it very much because we're getting close to the end of the game. So I might spread it around more. Maybe you guys can tell me what you think I should spend it on. I'll do it at the start of the next episode. Marketing, I also need to spend some more money on. I feel like that's getting a little less exciting at this point, where we're kind of dominant. Gasmia, we could spend some more on for sure, but we'll figure that out. Our sales breakdown by country looked like approximately. Fruinia seems to be accounting for a lot of it. Just eyeballing it here, I'd say... Well, it's hard to judge. In Gasmia, we're not selling as many cars to the more expensive markets. We apparently are hitting utility budget massively with 10,000 sales a month. The Luha we're finally breaking into with a few hundred sales in the major markets. Arcana continues to be a real runner-up. Our market awareness is lower there too. But I think some of our cars are cheap enough to sell there. On the other hand, they're also kind of selling into the wealthier countries first, where there's more of a dealership markup. As for what we're actually doing next episode, I'm sure it's probably time to start planning a facelift of the LC. Maybe add another trim of some kind. We discontinued our sports car. With the Caprese no longer on sale, I think we need a new dedicated sports car to replace it. And we also need to replace the Coniglio, which is now getting to be 25 years old and starting to suffer from real body age penalties. It's still selling like hotcakes, but I think we can do better by replacing it with a car. And of course, the main reason our sports car got shut down was safety. A newer chassis will help a lot with that. I'm not really sure what our new dedicated sports car platform should look like, other than it has to be a coupe. Could be rear engine like the old Caprese. I'd probably call it a third generation Caprese in that case. Oh gosh, we have bodies unlocked out to 2012 now. In fact, we unlocked all the vanilla bodies in the game. And the only bodies we haven't unlocked are mod bodies. Probably use this. I like this Honda S660 body for like a micro sports car. The 2.3 properly small one and a 2.6 kind of big one. We also definitely need to replace the Coniglio. We're getting to that 2010s period where cars are ugly and tall. I'm not sure if we want to fight that trend or follow it. Automation buyers do like tall cars. They have more cabin space relative to the footprint. Not all of them want longer and wider cars, because that kind of hurts your drivability. But taller cars tend to just benefit in that regard. Maybe not as much for sportiness, because they have a higher center of gravity. But for everything else. Spaceship liftback. There's a small enough one. A good Coniglio replacement would be a 2.3, 2.4 meter wheelbase with a lot of variance on it. Heck, we could even make our new Caprese or other sports car be a supercar looking thing that's actually cheap, like a Lotus. Cheap being relative in that case, but you know, you get the idea. Nissan Juke body. It's ghastly. I like the K-size coupe for a light sports car. Maybe about the oldest I go would be the 2005 sedan. That's a lot behind our body unlock here, but there's just not a big diversity of options in the later years. Especially on Ellisbury. That's an option for a sports car, too. Lots of 2004 and 5 options. So let me know what you think, what direction we should take for a new Coniglio and a new Caprese, or maybe a sports car with a different name if we decide to go for all-wheel drive. It could be mid or front engine instead of rear engine. We have a lot of options there. Then again, the rear-wheel drive is still the cheapest sporty option. Even though our sales are excellent, you could almost say the company is in a little bit of a slump in terms of innovation for our regular cars. So the next episode will be the time to come out of that. So yeah, let me know what you think we should do in the comments, and I'll see you next episode.
Stop! 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 Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Stop! Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Stop!